So this may be the first time I agree with Kamala Harris, because in her book, she said that she didn't choose ultra-homosexual Pete Buttigieg, his last name has butt in there for a reason, as her running mate, primarily because he's gay. And obviously she chose that tactically because she's a dark-tinted skinned woman with multiple origins, including South Pacific and Native American. Notice how I didn't call her black. But she was perceived by the media to be black, so to add fake black woman and a gay man on a ticket, well, in a moral world, they would get 0% of the vote because of that. But she didn't choose him because she's homophobic or whatever the words liberals like to use. And that was a good decision on her end. However, she then chose Tim Walz, which, to be honest, acts more gay than Pete. So that wasn't really the best counter. And I'm aware the verbiage I just used was a little inflammatory for a Democrat's mind, but let's be honest with ourselves for once. Being gay is a sin, or at least the act is. Leviticus 18:22 says, do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable. Also Romans 1:26-27. In the same way the man also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for another, men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. So as Charlie has taught us, we can't have a basis for morality without religion, and we live in a Christian nation. So if you're offended by morals that we've had for thousands of years, I don't really care. I think it's important that we don't teach acceptance for the LGBT ideology. If you're gay, it's likely due to a poor experience you've had with the opposite sex, maybe having a broken family. But to say you were born that way and to let it slide, like, okay, well, what if I was born a murderer? Anyways, off topic, but Kamala sat down with Rachel Maddow and first said, no, that's not what I said, then proceeded to explain that is what she said.
I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time, and the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made, and I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
America should never be ready for a gay person to be elected office in my eyes because the devil overtook them. The mental health statistics are a huge problem. LGBT adults are twice likely to have attempted suicide than normal people, 1.5 to 2 times more likely to have depression or anxiety. 37% had past year alcohol disorders versus 23% normal people. They account for 70% of HIV diagnosis. Also on the trans side, which I'm sure is far worse, for sex offenders per million, for biological women it's 3, biological men 395, and trans women, aka men, 1,916. So to take one of the 7 deadly sins being pride and being prideful about this community is inherently morally wrong.